We all think we know the story of Dracula, right? A creature of the night, a haunted castle, that fear of fangs in the darkness. But what if I told you that Bram Stoker's novel isn't just the source of our vampire myths? It's actually a meticulously constructed thriller about the modern world colliding with an ancient, unstoppable force. It's a story about a monster, sure, but more importantly, it's about the very modern methods you need to understand, document, and ultimately destroy one. Right here, in Dracula's own words to Jonathan Harker, you get his entire worldview. This isn't just a guy who likes old houses. This is a creature of history, of old soil and ancient grievances. He doesn't just oppose the new world of Victorian London. Its very essence, all its progress and technology and momentum, is literally poison to him. His strength comes from the past, and believe me, he plans on dragging the future right back into it. And this reveals the novel's central secret. It's less a horror story and much more a detective story. Really, it's an exercise in information warfare. The hero's first weapons aren't stakes or crosses, they're data. The entire book is presented as a collection of evidence, journals, diaries, phonograph recordings, telegrams, all put together for one single purpose: to make an unbelievable threat believable. So to understand the battle, we first have to understand the enemy. And let's be crystal clear, Dracula is no feral beast. He's an intelligent, calculating invader who plans his assault on London with the cold precision of a CEO orchestrating a hostile takeover. This is where you really see Dracula's genius. He weaponizes the very systems of the world he wants to corrupt. Jonathan Harker just sits there in the castle, watching in horror as the Count masters railway timetables, the details of English property law, even how to use shell companies to hide his moves. And his choice of an English estate, Carfax, it's perfect. It's ancient, it's isolated, and it's right next to a mental asylum, which is basically a pre-stocked larder of vulnerable minds. He's using the tools of modernity to pave the way for his ancient conquest. So once he's in London, Dracula doesn't arrive like some conquering general. No, he's way smarter than that. He arrives like an invisible plague. He's a contagion, both biological and spiritual. And the confident, rational world of Victorian science is just completely, utterly unprepared for an enemy it can't see, can't measure, and can't classify. Lucy Wester's tragic decline becomes the perfect case study. Her fiancé, Dr. John Seward, a man of science who runs an asylum, meticulously documents her symptoms. The weakness, the pallor, those two strange little marks on her throat. But all his medical training, it's useless. He's trapped by his own rationalism. He can diagnose the effects, but he is totally blind to the cause. It takes Professor Van Helsing, a man who walks that line between science and folklore, to even begin to grasp the true nature of what's happening to her. These words from Van Helsing to a skeptical Dr. Seward, they cut right to the heart of the novel. He's arguing that modern science is arrogant. It's so sure of itself, it just dismisses anything it can't immediately measure. He's saying that to fight Dracula, the group has to learn to accept that there are ancient truths and ancient evils out there that you just won't find in any modern textbook. So, if your enemy is something that defies modern understanding, how do you even begin to fight it? Well, the answer is the most modern tool of all: information. The hero's primary weapon isn't physical might, it's the systematic collection, organization, and distribution of data. And just look at their arsenal. It's this fascinating blend of old and new technologies. You've got Jonathan using shorthand, an ancient form of secret writing, to record his captivity. Dr. Seward uses the brand new cutting-edge phonograph to dictate his observations. And at the absolute center of it all is Mina Harker, who wields the typewriter to transcribe and pull together every single piece of evidence, creating a unified dossier on their enemy. What they're doing is building a shared reality from all these fragmented truths. And this reveals something crucial. The novel's structure, this collection of documents, it's not just a literary device. It is the story. The character's most difficult struggle isn't slaying the beast. It's gathering enough verifiable evidence to convince themselves and each other that this impossible monster is actually real. Only after they've built that fortress of facts can they even begin to act. And who are these people fighting with facts? They aren't some legendary band of warriors. No, they are a thoroughly modern, collaborative team of specialists. They're pooling their knowledge to confront a threat that no single person could possibly face alone. You know, pop culture often reduces the story down to just Van Helsing, the lone, swashbuckling vampire hunter. But the reality in the book is so much more interesting and so much more modern. Yes, he's the expert on the occult, but he's just one node in a network. The novel completely rejects the idea of a single great hero in favor of a collective, a coalition built on trust and shared expertise. And this fellowship, it's a masterpiece of team building. Mina is the intellectual and emotional core, synthesizing all the reports into a coherent timeline, even as her own mind becomes the ultimate battlefield. Her husband, Jonathan, provides the legal knowledge to track Dracula's money. Seward offers scientific rigor. Arthur provides aristocratic access, and Quincy Morris brings that frontier courage. Together, they form a complete weapon where every single part is essential to the whole. So why does this story still captivate us more than a century later? It's because Dracula's more than just a character. He's a symbol. He's a vessel for our deepest and most persistent anxieties. The answer to that is, of course, no. Not at all. Dracula is a remarkably adaptable monster. He's like a mirror, reflecting the fears of every era, including our own. What's so striking is how perfectly these Victorian fears map onto our modern ones. The fear of an unseen contagion? That's the fear of a global pandemic, a virus spreading silently through our interconnected world. The anxiety of a foreign influence corrupting from within? That echoes our debates on cultural and political subversion. And the power of a dangerous idea to cross borders and infect a culture? Well, that's the perfect metaphor for the viral spread of misinformation in the digital age. So what does this book teach us that we can actually use? First, the information offensive. Truth isn't found, it's assembled. It's like a mosaic, built by putting together a ton of different data points. Second, the specialist alliance. The world's biggest problems aren't solved by one genius, but by a trusted team of experts working together. And finally, the most chilling lesson of all. Ancient threats don't just fight modern systems. They learn to use our own networks, laws, and technologies against us. And in the end, maybe that's the real lesson. The novel teaches us that the greatest monsters are not the ones who defy our laws, but the ones who defy our understanding.